Welcome to the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Patricia Bourgeois, certified business coach. I am here to help you up-level, generate consistent wealth, increase your confidence, attract dream clients, and master your mindset so that you can fully own your power and achieve next-level results in your online business and beyond. Every week, a powerful conversation will take place with amazing guests, or I'll share from my experience to help inspire you to start and scale the business of your dreams while being powerfully you. The time has come to stop playing small, stop hiding, and stop waiting. Now is the perfect time for you to passionately pursue your heart's desire as the powerful leader you were born to be. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Let's first chat about what is your fire when it comes to podcasting. What made you start your own podcast? And just tell us about your beginnings.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so many different reasons, but honestly, I just always knew I was gonna be somehow in media, right? Like, I graduated university and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be like a radio host or a TV host or something like that. And then I did an internship and then I was like, wait, what? This is like it just blew my mind, right? And you need to have contacts in order to get into that really competitive world. And I kept that in the back of my mind, and I just started my business. I focused on that. I focused on getting clients and serving my clients. And I realized, like, I saw online, like, how podcasting was becoming this huge thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the perfect, like, segue into me having my own show instead of working for someone else, right? Because we're entrepreneurs. We want to have our own things, run our own show. And it was just, the perfect thing to do. And I totally relate to what you were saying earlier about the analysis paralysis and, like, wanting to start one and procrastinating on it. And that's actually one of the first things we have to truly be aware of is our mindset, right? Because we are the person who's holding us back from actually doing the things we want to do. And I feel like when something is new, when something is unfamiliar, when something seems like a big project to take on, like, we're going to self-sabotage ourselves in order to keep herself safe and small. And it is a leap to take. But honestly, you know this because you are in the space. Like, any risk that we take and that we go full head on and that we put our focus and energy in with good energy, it always turns out to be so much more amazing than what we thought it would be.
Yeah.
And you won't regret it. And I was alone. Like, I figured it out. Like, I haven't paid for any courses or anything like that. I'm self-taught, okay? I took the time to figure it out. I did all the research, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, there's so many ways to do it, but I found a way to do it that's simple. Like, I keep it simple and fun because if I overcomplicate things, forget it.
I know exactly where you're coming from. So tell me what it takes to later on we're going to touch on the 5 simple steps to actually start your own podcast, but I would like to talk about how to actually grow your podcast because I know that there are a lot of people who already have their own podcast and have questions in their head, like, how do I grow? What is the right strategy? Like, do I just post in some groups on Facebook? Do I just promote it on Instagram? Like, what do I do to actually grow my listenership? So tell me, how have you managed to grow your podcast? Like, tell me how quickly you grew it, like what it took for you to actually see the progress.
The mindset I went in with starting this was, people are going to want to be on this show. People are going to reach out to me and ask me how they can be on the show. And I kid you not, going in with that mindset, I receive, honestly, so many emails a day, so many DMs, so many people like, hey, Like, I'm really interested to be on your show. Like, how do I get on? And I have a wait list until like May now or something, May, June, something like that. And it's just been crazy. And that's the biggest way to grow, is actually to get guests on your podcast, because your guests are going to share their podcast episode. And then your podcast name will be out there. Like, my podcasts have been featured in news outlets, like huge websites, huge Instagram platforms with a lot of listeners and followers. So it's like a compounding, right? Like, I've brought in like almost 100 guests by now. So the compounding of all these guests that shares their episode, and the word getting out, the word of mouth, that's how it truly like gets all this exposure. For sure. And then the next thing that's also really interesting is that when your guests come on your show and they get to meet you, they fall in love with you. Like, people are like, Anna, you're amazing. Like, I'm just so like a natural at interviewing people. Like, I love listening. I love learning. I love like asking probing questions. And I feel like people get interviewed all the time, but then when they are interviewed by me, they're like, okay, like, this chick, like, she has something different or something. So most of the time, my guests also have podcasts. So they ask me to go on their pod. So like, we're doing a podcast swap, right? They're coming on mine, I'm going on theirs. And that's also a really great way for me to talk about my podcast on their podcast. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And that is exactly why I wanted to start at the end, because I do things differently. That is why podcast guesting is so powerful. It's because there is like this moment of, you sharing, they sharing, them sharing, someone else sharing, like everyone is sharing, and it gets so in front of so many different eyes. And I mean, it's such a good way to just grow anything. There is literally no topic and no subject, no category that you can't promote on a podcast. It's just a matter of finding the right podcast, finding the right people, the right audience, and then aligning your message with those audience. How does someone start a podcast? What are your 5 tips or 5 simple steps to, if anyone watching is wanting to start their own podcast?
Okay, so let me just start by saying this. The steps are simple, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of work that needs to be done.
Like with everything else, right?
Exactly. So the first step is really the conceptualizing, the researching, the planning, because we got to make sure that we're setting up our roadmap, right? So in that phase, we're actually creating our podcast concept, right? What is the larger theme that we're going to talk about? Like, for example, my podcast is leadership, women in business, women empowerment. So like, that's the big overall concept. And if you're in business and you're already helping people in a certain niche per se, then that could be something that you want to like consider for your podcast as well. And then from there, we create your podcast name, right? We research what names are already out there to make sure that we create one that's our own. And then from there, we create your podcast description, right? Like, this is like so important to nail, because it's SEO, right? People who research online, like, we got to make sure that we're using the keywords and all of that. And it's quite a bit of work, but it's doable. And I'll share with you how later on. There's also choosing a hosting site. So this is a big question that I get all the time, right? What hosting site should I use for my podcast? What equipment should I use? How do I set up my analytics? Like, having that data and knowing when your podcast hits the charts and stuff like that, it's so important to know as well, because then you can gauge and you can like readjust and stuff like that. So that's the first big chunk is the researching, the planning, the conceptualizing. Does that make sense?
Hope everyone is taking notes. Okay, what's the step number 2?
Okay, so the second step is actually the creating. So now that we know everything that we're gonna do, now it's time to actually start creating. So what I mean by that is we're gonna start really laying down our intros and our outros, right? We're gonna research royalty-free music. Which tracks are we gonna use for our intro or outros? Our podcast cover image, that's super important as well. That's what people are going to see first thing when they search for your podcast. It's your cover image. We're going to create your content pillars, because that's another thing. Like, people are worried. They're like, do I have enough like topics and things to say on this podcast? like it's a big genuine question. I'm like, yes, I promise you do. That's where we create your content pillars. That's also where we chat about how to find guests, right? And this is where Amela might come in, right? Like, honestly, anything is like, you can outsource anything, but I just love to do it myself first, to understand how it works first, and then outsource it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, because if at times, if you don't know what you want, if you don't know what is right for you, if you're not sure like what kind of guests you want on, your VA or anyone that you outsource it to won't know either. And then you might, end up presenting the person because they were just doing their job, and but like, you honestly, you don't know, you don't even know. So yeah, it's a good thing. Let's go to the third step.
Yeah, this step is all about, recording, editing, exporting, like all the post-prod that you're doing on your episodes. But it's so important to make that step as smooth as possible, because my goal for you is to focus on creating quality content to be able to edit, right? Because I don't want you to stress about how to edit. I want you to focus on creating the best possible quality content. And then I give you the tools in order to make that process as smooth as possible.
Yeah, love that. So don't be scared, guys. Tech is not so scary. You got this. So we're on to the step number 4.
Step number 4 is launching. So here we're going to go through, how do I successfully launch this thing? Now that I've worked so hard, I've done all the steps, I've created my episodes, everything is set up. What's the actual game plan for me to launch this thing and for it to be successful? And honestly, there's no right or wrong way to launch a podcast. And I give you a few different ways to do it. But if you know me, you know that I love to, because I have a community online. So like, if you have already a community, you can launch to them. You can launch like on your socials. Like, there's so many different ways. You can like create a website, like a live launch of your website, of your podcast. Like, there's so many different ways to go about it. But the most important thing is to really know what truly lights you up, right? What's the way that you mainly share with your audience right now? Like, is it text? Is it video? Is it like, what do you do right now that you enjoy doing? And then we elevate that for your launch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I know that a lot of people are using both like YouTube, and like they upload it on YouTube as well as their audio wherever, whatever host they are using to host their podcast. So do you recommend that? Is it worth it?
So I love that you talk about YouTube, because they actually announced, I think it was last week or the week before, that they're actually planning on creating a podcast homepage. Like,
wow.
This is
okay,
because you only give them your RSS feed. They upload it, and then your podcast will be there on YouTube.
Yeah, so but then it will it be video or no?
I don't think it will be video. So you won't have to work twice as hard, and you won't have to manually everything.
Yeah, but it is worth it, right?
Yeah, totally. Like, I cannot wait to see that like go live, because that's going to be huge. Like, billions of people are on YouTube, and it's so much more easier if they can just click on the homepage, watch like the podcast website, and be like, wow, you know.
I mean, YouTube is that. I mean, it was only a matter of time, because you know, podcasting is so huge today. I mean, it actually, honestly, it surprises me that they didn't do it before. It's like, it's like this huge step, but then again, it was expected, because they need to be following trends, right? And podcasting industry is just like blowing up these days. So yeah. So the step number 5.
Yes. So now that we're launching, we have to promote it, like you said, that we talked about earlier. Right? We have to create a blueprint that's actually sustainable, because what I see happening is people are all excited, they create their podcast, they'll launch it, but then the consistency dwindles off. And, you know, I don't want to see that happen for you. Like, you've put in so much work, and I want to make sure you have a specific like blueprint to follow in order to keep that consistency going. So we're going to work on that. We're going to like set up your social media. Like, I created an Instagram page for the podcast. Like, it's totally separate from my business page, because I wanted to make sure that I keep myself accountable to updating that page and being there for the people who are actually loyal and listening to the episodes. Like, I wanted to give them something more. Obviously, this is optional. Like, you don't have to. It's just another way of promoting it. If you want to create a website, and we're also going to create, you know, podcast forms for your guests. We're going to create like flows for them to be easy to share your episodes. So it's all about promoting, talking about it, how to use Canva to create like your promotional graphics and all of that.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
How do you promote if you don't have any audience?
You can do it even with a small audience. Honestly, you don't have to have a huge audience. You can always start small. The most important thing is not to be afraid to start with who you know, right? If you have a small audience, it's not huge. I'm sure you still have family, you still have friends, you still have a small circle that you can share your episodes with. And there are also many Facebook groups that you can join. Like, there's a community for everything. Find your tribe, find your people who are in the same space, who are doing the same thing you're doing. They get you, they get your mission, and they're going to support you in growing.
I love that. Find your tribe, find your community, because there is definitely a place for everyone. Like, there is a community for any type of business, for any type of entrepreneur, for like basically anything. You just got to find them. So that was amazing. It is absolutely worth it. And if you have a message, and I know that you do, you got to give it a shot, because it's the next big thing. Right now, I would love you to talk about your mini course.
What if I could create a course to show other women entrepreneurs how to do this without it being overwhelming and like confusing and all of that? Yeah, it was a big puzzle to put together, but I did put it together for you inside this mini course. This year, I decided to revamp it, give more trainings and more access, because before it was only 5 days of live trainings and access for a month. Now I'm giving trainings for 30 days and a lifetime access. So you can always come back to the course, learn more, ask more questions. And yeah, it's going to be a mix of live trainings, recorded trainings, checklists, templates, everything to fully support you in your journey. And we start on Monday, like you said, and you'll get the best results in this course if you already know the problem that you solve and you're confident in your expertise in what you do. You're willing to learn and put in the work and have fun with it. And you have a growth mindset. You're not afraid of a challenge, and you're so ready and excited to be seen, be heard on an international level, and really grow your brand further and get more clients. And yeah, like, don't miss your chance. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Who doesn't want all of those things? Who doesn't? I mean, it's so good. Like, I want to join right now. Can we start tomorrow?
Send me a DM on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Like, I'm everywhere. Like, if you type my name, you're gonna find me. It's a very unique name. The investment to join is $555 or 5 payments of $111.
This is literally a steal. Like,
Yeah.
you are basically giving things away for free. Like, it's amazing. Like, I can't even. Thank you so much, Anna, for being here, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your magic with us. It's been lovely chatting with you. I hope everyone enjoyed.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Powerful Female Leaders podcast. If you love this episode, make sure to spread the message, leave a review, and subscribe. I would forever be grateful for you. I also want to hear from you, and I want to know your feedback and your questions for future episodes. So don't be shy, say hi, and send me a message at Powerful Female Leaders Podcast on Instagram. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode.